Hey there, fishing world, what's shaking? Fat Cat Newton coming at you after the third day, man. It's a wrap. The inaugural event for the National Professional Fishing League is in the books, and the winner, the hammer, the dude that was out there and hooking up, Soukup. Hey, wall to wall, treetop tall. This place, it's been nuts, dude. I don't even know what to talk about. First of all, did I tell you how the week's been? How about that, Bobby? Started out here Sunday, that's when official practice started. Chocolate milk, water it's been crazy Sunday, but Sunday to Saturday, it's a different lake. These guys have been dealing with water levels. The water temps, 10 days ago, it was 56 degrees. Now they got water temps up to 71, 72. It's just been constantly changing from the day we got here. And before I go any further, shout out to Lake Point State Park and Resort. They have been nothing but awesome to us. The marina, the faculty, everybody's been awesome. Mayor Tibbs, what up, Tibbs? Appreciate you, Mayor. This place is awesome, dude. So I'm going to pass it over to Luke, but go ahead, Luke.
We got our first champ.
Dude, yes.
We got our first champ, dude, right here.
Boom goes the
Now, we had the pleasure of watching this dude for 3 days, and once you got on the throne, you didn't let anybody take you off, man. Now, it looked like, though, today, some outside factors or some things going on.
I made some friends.
You made some friends, for sure.
And at least one enemy.
And at least one enemy. But, dude, talk about what it feels like just dude, the trophy's right over your shoulder. You're the first one ever. No matter what happens the rest of the year, the rest of your life, you were the first ever National Professional Fishing League champ, man.
Well, they asked me the question at like 1 o'clock right before live, what would it feel like to win? And I was like, in my mind, I lost the tournament. So I was like, why are you asking me that question right now? Like, yeah. I got to catch some weight. But I mean, the truth of the matter is, in a real quick book to book, my first word was fish. At 4 years old, I told my mom I was going to be a professional fisherman. All I did, I was the fishing nerd that got made fun of all through school. I had Roland Martin's 101 Bass Catching Secrets was my Bible as a kid. Like, I could quote that thing. Bassmaster magazines, like the whole deal, right? And then 19 years old, got married young, had to go to work 19, 29, never got a fish. Just work, tile, flooring business, take care of responsibilities. And God has blessed me now, I'm 39, giving me an opportunity through the Bass Tank last 3 years of the company to fish professionally. And like I said, it creates exactly what I thought from the beginning that I was meant to be a professional fisherman.
Dude, but to jump in, your story, you skipped over a lot from being 4 to 19, but like, you're fishing is in your DNA. Like, in your family though, didn't you say you grew up doing, we had a conversation before NPFL really did this, and we talked about your background and everything, but like, as a kid, like a family business, didn't you guys do something with?
Yeah, so I drowned my pond when I was 2 years old. It was a koi pond.
Okay.
And we raised koi, so colored carp. So we were always handling fish, my entire life. And my dad took me fishing. I mean, that's what we did. We went to heated docks. We didn't have big motors, so we'd go in the backs of creeks in the spring. Anytime the first week is 70 degrees, you go to the very far back of the creek. Don't forget the back of the creeks in the spring. It's my dad. I can hear it in the back of my head.
He was probably really mad at you this week.
Yeah, I wasn't very far back in the creek.
Like, what are you doing out there? It's 80 degrees. He made a comment screaming, and then you would double it up, and then we're like, oh no, he knows more than we do.
He made a comment about his dad outside when we were coming in. He was bringing his jerkbait, we were getting his rods, and I was just asking out of curiosity what type of knot he uses on his jerkbait. What kind of knot? I said, what do you use, Palomar? And then John's answer was...
So, my dad taught me 2 knots when I was a kid, a Palomar and this one that goes and it goes back through and back through. Everybody knows that one, right? So I was, probably 6 to 10 years old, whatever. My dad's not the kind of guy that you keep asking the same question for. You get a knot on your head for it. So I just converted the 2 knots because I couldn't remember how to tie them. So I have that. That's the knot I tie other than on braid. You can't tie it on braid. You just do a regular Palomar braid. So basically it's a Palomar knot. I loop twice around and I go around. That's it.
Wow.
Man created his own knot, son.
I'm a hookup knot.
Yeah.
So talk about, we know Lifescope. If you watch live at all, Lifescope is
does not work.
Is your neck okay?
It does not work.
Is your neck okay?
It does not work for bass.
Yeah, it doesn't work for bass. Dudley said that you're going to spend some of that 50 grand on drawing you a massage at some point, or a chiropractor visit, because you have done this for absolutely
3 years. I've done it for 3 years.
Well, it's very obvious, but other than the Lifescope, talk about the keys because you were doing something
Yeah.
very different. The locals here, brush pile fishing goes hand in hand with Lake Eufaula. That is
Yeah.
something that is well known around here.
A lot of the guys had 200 waypoints of brush piles,
Absolutely.
hundreds of waypoints of brush piles.
It wasn't a secret, right? A lot of our guys were fishing brush. Landon Tucker was one that exploited it. Joe Willard, Greg Mansfield. We saw a lot of it on live. But this jerkbait, the Spro jerkbait, the McDouble, I started calling it
Yeah,
instead of
they called it
McStick,
the double
the
trouble.
McDouble,
The
the
McDouble
double
award.
trouble. But talk about why, John? Why a jerkbait? The water is heating up. You're fishing brush.
We got guys looking at 8, 10 pounders
Yeah.
on, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Why the jerkbait?
So I can back up and tell you guys a little bit before we get to the jerkbait. I'm going to back up what my mentality was for approaching Lake Eufaula. I had heard that Down Lake was the land of the giants. I am actually an extreme shallow water fisherman as well. Like I said, I grew up fishing my creek.
You got the
That's why I
Express. Yeah, I was gonna say, you're in aluminum.
Yeah, I caught some fish on frog in practice and stuff like that. But this is the way I looked at it. I've spent my entire winter fishing, chasing big fish all winter long, and studying fish behavior, right? Anytime I've ever done really good in a tournament or won, it wasn't that I ever thought I was going to win, but I knew I was around a lot of fish, and then the weight just showed up. I didn't come here to win a tournament, I can say that. I did come here just to cut a check. I knew I needed to be around a bunch of fish. And so I spent 3 days idling around and graphing, but the reason why I did this is real quick study. The lake was down 4 foot over winter. All the grass that you swim the jig in, it's gone. Now, I fished a grass lake for 10, 15 years, and I got really good at flipping and throwing frog. And so I know how they behave. When that grass is gone, they get nervous. And so with the lake was down 4 foot, all this shallow water was literally, there was nothing there. So you might say, okay, the fish are going to live shallow, they're going to stay shallow. They're going to stay up in those flats. But then 3 weeks ago, we got the biggest cold front they've ever had in the last.
Ever, yeah.
Yeah. So guess what these fish did? They actually acted like Oklahoma fish, and they went and decided to do winter. Without that happening, this would have been a shallow water slugfest. What happened was, originally or typically, the lake's probably still 60 degrees throughout the winter. They can live shallow. They're probably a lot healthier looking than they are now. So those fish went out, they tried to figure out how to survive in winter. Well, what's the first place they're going to go? They're going to go to the ledges, they're going to go to the brush piles, they're going to go to the cover. So basically, that was my thought process, is how do I get around the most fish? I'm going to find the most fish schooled up somewhere. And so my first day, I went out graphed around, didn't take 30 minutes to find a brush pile, made one cast with a jerkbait in there, caught a 3-pounder, and I stuck with it, had 15 pounds on the first day of practice. And so I spent 90% of my time just graphing. Matter of fact, I thought I screwed up in practice by not going up. I didn't even go up in the river. I didn't even look, I didn't want my brain to be, torn. I wanted to be committed to just being around lots of fish. And I knew I was around lots of fish. When I would hook a fish, there'd be 15 or 20 of them coming with it. Now, with that being said, as the tournament went on, man, these fish got stubborn and hard to catch. And so that's where the jerkbait comes in. I found fish staging main lake, mid lake, and when I say mid lake, from the main lake river channel to the very backs of the creek, midway back. So you got your main lake staging, your midway staging, and you got your back staging. And those 3 different fish, depending from hour to hour, it seemed like the main lake staging would be on fire, then they'd shut off the mid lake. And there was no rhyme or reason, you just had to bounce around and test it. And so the jerkbait, though, to answer your question, is the lure that I can control the most. Now, I did have a big chatterbait, I had a big spinnerbait, I had swim baits. You can see my deck. I had 13 different rods.
But you always went this way. Or a shaky head. Shaky head came in clutch too.
Yep. So I caught a big one in practice on spinnerbait, and I say big, a 4-pounder. But every time in the tournament, day one I threw it a lot. Big old Colorado blade, 3/4 ounce, big old thing. Don't, and they would just follow it. So sometimes I pull it to brush pile and I'm looking through and I can't see nothing. So I throw that spinnerbait out there to see if they're there, and I roll by and here they come. They'd fall, but they never would eat it. You throw a swim bait by, they never come chase it. They just were curious. And so the only way I could figure to get them was to put this thing, I needed something that would just stop. And holding it something above them, we get their attention, they'd come up to it, and they'd look at it, and then I could get them to react by working them. And so that's where the jerkbait comes in.
You told me the night before the tournament, we put a camera on you, and we had a meeting to talk about, go over things. Me, Fat Cat, Dudley, we were getting the goods, and you told me, you said, I will not make a cast tomorrow until I see a fish. I'll never waste a cast. And I got to watch you for hours this week, and you never did. And you would break it down. That is what Lifescope has done. It has made everyone more efficient. But for you were talking about size fish. You could tell how big they were.
Good.
I mean, and you've spent so much time. Dudley, I'll say this on camera. Dudley kind of laughed. He's like, And I said, you're talking about a guy this winter catching giant. You know what a 10-pounder looks like on it because you caught 10-pounders looking at them on it. So you knew the quality of fish when you were getting in there. Like you mentioned that earlier today about spots. You got on the one little place where you kind of got, your breath back when you got invaded by the pirates. And then you went in and you're catching the spots. And you're like, yeah, it's mostly spots here. Oh, there's a big one. Like you said, you're like, oh, there's a big one. See if I can get it to bite, and you were targeting those. But
Day 2, I had Curious George. I don't know if you heard that one.
No.
I don't know if the audio was there. So there's a brush pile. I pulled up and I threw this guy. It was the PM Twilight Spro.
PM Twilight.
I call it Double Trouble, but what'd you call it? The
McDouble.
It's the big stick.
The Hill McClellan, I renamed it.
So much better.
That's the McDouble.
And it 100% was. This would be my first one that I'd throw in because if they were aggressive, they'd come after it and they would eat this one deeper than anything else that I threw.
You mentioned that today, yeah.
I mean, I lost a lot of fish today that were just, I call it licking it. They just follow it and they, it's like, and a little cave, But I threw in there this brush pile, I'm working it out, and all of a sudden here's like 20 of them coming. Matter of fact, I had it on pause so long that I'm a live scope and I'm following this school of fish. I'm like, oh, they're running off. And then I realized, wait a minute, one of them's got it in their.
Oh, wow.
And so I
That's
completely missed it. But I pulled the whole school off, I thought. So the next cast I threw back, so I knew from the using live scope that there was a school there, not one fish. So I threw into the brush pile again. I'm working it. Kentucky comes out and eats it. I'm reeling it in. I knew it was a smaller fish. Spot.
Yeah.
Kentucky
I'm still done with that stuff. Yeah, no, you keep it going, bro. I'm sorry.
I'm reeling it in against the side of the boat, and there's a big fish next to it trying to swipe at it. And I said, I'm going to try to double up. And I lowered my rod, and I pressed my button. I let that spot go down, and all of a sudden I felt a clunk, pulled into it.
Incredible, man.
Day 2, first catch was a 4-pounder. It was a 4-pounder that hooked into the 1.5. And so this we had 2 more doubles beyond that. So 3 doubles in that day. McDouble.
The McDouble. They need to change that color to McDouble.
So being the pirate wasn't on live, can he talk about it for a second?
Yeah, I think so. So I mean, you had to overcome adversity. It looked like wire to wire wins. People were like, oh, this dude was dialed in. He ran off with it, and you were dialed in, and you did run off with it. But there were about 6 hours today that I feel like you didn't know what was going to happen.
Oh, 100%. So.
And you probably didn't even when you got to the weigh-in, right?
No.
I was going to say.
This was supposed to be a 5-minute video,
yeah,
by the way.
Yeah.
Sorry.
5-minute video.
Yeah,
no, I want to hear it, though, man. We're in it now, man. We're in it.
Luke Duncan time.
Yeah.
So, day 1, I had 200 waypoints. I found 200 easy, maybe even more. But out of those, when I graph them, if they were right, if they were a complete stationary and it had the right cover that I wanted in that, and if I ever saw a fish when I was graphing, if you see one, there's 100 down there. Like this, it's you never see how many are really there when you're side imaging or down. So I would drop the trolling motor and I put the live scope down and I'd scope around. And I'd see their size, their activity level, and if I was curious, I might throw a bait out there and I might not. And so what I determined in practice, I narrowed it down to about 20 spots that had the highest volume of fish and the best activity level in those.
Man's doing work. You know what I mean? He's out there writing stuff down. He's got his lab coat on and stuff. He's working beakers.
It's
a formula.
Yeah, dialed is this. And after talking to you on Wednesday night, I told Dudley, I said, there's your winner.
Yeah.
And he goes, come on. I said, I'm telling you, dude, I've been around guys that are super dialed coming out of practice. Like, he knows what he's going to do. He's not going to deviate from it. Yeah.
Dedication to learning new things. This forward imaging. For the folks at home, this is the new hotness. It's crazy. Like, this is what everybody, like, it's nuts. Can you give the folks at home one piece of advice? Because a lot of guys are overwhelmed by it, right? They want to learn it. On that forward-facing imaging, is there a mistake? Because bass tank, if y'all don't know what bass tank is, get your life right, Bobby, and figure it out. Because the bass tank, they are the innovators. They are the ones you go to for that type of information. But what's one mistake you see a lot of newbies make with the forward-facing imaging?
Well, you're right. The bass tank has pioneered techniques in the live scoping world. I've had people call me out and say that's a big thing to say. I got a $50,000 trophy.
Look at that
Instead
shield,
of something
boy.
else. No,
Give me some.
I got 24 hours of nothing but fish catching and, well, maybe 6 hours a day of sweating.
You had a little sweat today. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
A little sweat. We were sweating
So,
today for you.
Listen, it's forward shooting. In other words, it shoots forward at a 20-degree cone. Lowrance has one called Active Target that's 18 degrees. Okay, so they're very similar, but it's live, and it's almost like an infrared looking thing, you know, like the same
Thermal almost.
Yeah, like a thermal. So, but you can see in detail the fish. I can tell the fish's head from its tail. I can see, you know, when I range him close, and I fish crappie tournaments as well in the tour. I can see the fish's gills flare. I can tell his personality. It's just like bed fishing. I know whether he's hot or whether he's not. You know, I know whether he's ready to go, or, you know, all these different things. And so it's very important, because when it's lethargic like this, I'm going to get back to the forward shooting sonar. When you shoot forward, you know, you can range in and out at different ranges, but I can see my bait, I can see the cover, I can see the fish, where he's positioned. Not all these fish, matter of fact, on day 2, I didn't catch a fish. Or no, day 1, I didn't catch a fish in the brush pile. They were actually roaming around the brush pile, which is my favorite, because no one else can catch them. I can scan out there and see them, and I can lead them, and I can cast in front of them. Now, as the current started pulling and the fish started sucking down, I was able to use that forward shooting sonar to realize that they're no longer, so now I got to focus on the brush piles. So that's how I was able to use that sonar. So, but in real time, the delay is so little that you can't tell it. You know, it might be split second, half a second, or whatever it is. You can see your bait, the lure, the cover. I can watch the fish follow that bait out of the cover and actually come. There's plenty of times when I've set the hook before I even felt anything. Like, oh, he ate.
Unbelievable.
All right, hold on. We're almost done, guys. The story with the pirates and the guy in the back of the boat. I just want to get that story out there. That way, if they're out there chirping, they can hear the real story right here.
So, 200 waypoints, and you got it narrowed down to 20 that have the most activity. Day 1, I end up jumping about. I had a little area that had about 10 in there, and I had 2 or 3 fish. That's it. By, I don't know, around 10 o'clock. So I go in over this little. There's an island that has a big brush pile, couple little bitty ones, and then another little one, but it's all isolated. And so I go over there, and when I go over there, now we're talking about day 1, I don't catch a fish. I run way back in Petula on a spot, and I fill my limit out there in a muddy water brush pile, and I go end up catching one on shaky head. Sorry guys, I'm thinking through this.
No,
thing.
brother, you're good.
I caught one on shaky head that was about 5.
Catch your fish. Yeah, you're good. You can't go.
I caught one that was about 5 pounds, and then I ended up just going to a bunch of different spots. Okay, those 20 to try to find which ones are fire for the next day. So I jump a bunch of stuff to the end of the day, and I end up catching a 5.5 doing it. But what I found was a lot of the stuff that was my active stuff, the fish were there, but they would not fire. I mean, I tried to make them fire, even though I could have been out smashing them somewhere else. I was trying to provoke those spots so I could know to eliminate those spots. So that was day 1. Day 2, I start out, I go to what was firing on day 1, and I ain't got nothing for the first hour and a half. So I roll into the island spot, and the reason I rolled into there, even though I didn't catch my day 1, is because in practice, when I hooked up, I had like 30 following one of my fish. So I made one cast, hooked up. So I pull in, I fish the big brush pile, nothing. I go to the little one, and I throw in there, and I got the third. Here they come, man. They start chasing my bait, and I missed the first one. Second one, that's when the McDouble happened. Yeah. Long story short, I got one little brush pile, probably the size of me and you standing next to each other. It's just
that's
small,
got a big brush pile.
That's a big brush pile. I mean, we're just gonna throw that out there. Add me in there.
off the middle of the point up nowhere, and I pulled 20 pounds off. That whole 20 pounds, day 2's 20 pounds came off of one spot. And I hit it for about an hour. I had about 19 and a half pounds. Cut.
No, we'll roll with it, man. NPFL, we're all about the chaos.
So I had 19 and a half pounds, and then I spent on day 2 probably 4 or 5 hours going and checking stuff again, trying to reestablish the good stuff to see if they were active. And I didn't catch anything in that day 2 after that. So I rolled back into that spot at the end of day 2, and I didn't make a cast of the small brush pile. I went down to the bigger one, and I caught a 3 cold. That's why I got the 20 and a half pounds. threw one more cast out there, caught a 2. I was like, I need to leave this for tomorrow. And in my mind, I had just eliminated from Petula all the way down the dam of what actually had active fish. And it was just that 100-yard, 200-yard section of those brush piles that those fish were behaving different than every other fish. Day 3, I'm just gonna stick on this 100-yard stretch. I'm leading the tournament by like, what was it, a pound and a half? Mm-hmm. Not a big margin.
No.
You know, old boy had 23 pounds the day before. I'm like, Chance Woodard.
Coming in hot.
There's no, you know, I'm gonna have to have 20 pounds. That's where the biggest active fish that I saw where I caught a 5 and I caught a 6 there on day 2. So, and I'd seen bigger fish in there. I knew that one brush pile had the 5s in it. I start there. Here's the deal. When you start on a brush pile and the sun isn't completely up yet, the fish were scattered around it. My first 15 to 30 minutes, I lost 3 fish. I don't know why, they weren't hooking up very good at all. And then one of the ones I lost when I was reeling it in, it brought the whole school with it, and then they dispersed, and they never went back to the brush pile. I watched them run out in the flats, run here. So I picked up a trap, and I started throwing a trap around, I'm catching little dinks around. I'm staying within a long cast of that brush pile. And these guys are working their way down the bank, and they see me the whole time fishing. I'm catching fish and everything. Got a camera in the boat. It's kind of obvious something's going. Got another camera in the boat.
Got that bass tank around.
Yeah, something's going on here.
Teal green.
So I thought, you know what? Let the sun get up. I'm going to get away from it a little bit. I don't want them to feel my sonar. I don't want to feel my pressure at all. Let the sun come up and let them pull off the flat and get into this brush pile because they'll come back and get. It's a very isolated brush pile.
You said you don't want the fish to feel the sonar?
Yeah, just let it be at peace.
Gotcha.
You know, let nature do its thing. Let them go back to home. You know, that's their little hidey hole when the sun pops up. So I kind of move it aside, and here they come, man. They sit, they pull right in, and I look over. They set the hook on a couple. I'm like, wow, that stinks. And I told the camera, I said, should I go talk to him or not? And I was like, you know what, man? I've made a very huge investment, and that is my honey hole. So I went over there, and I think it's on camera. I mean, I was as polite as I know how to be. And I said, hey man, I don't know, do you guys know what's going on here? Have you heard about the NPFL? And they said, no. I said, well, it's a new professional bass fishing league. You know, it's the 3rd day, it's the final day. I'm leading, it's a $50,000 event. And this is my, I caught 20 pounds here yesterday, and this is my spot. And I was just backing off a little bit to let it rest, to see if you guys could, be respectful and let me have it. And the guy in front said, oh yeah, we're just gonna go down. And then the guy in the back of the boat says, whoa. So you think your tournament's more important than mine? I said, and it's all on camera.
Jack Sparrow.
He can hear it. It's all recorded. I said, no, man, I don't think ours is more important than yours. Go ahead, flog away, man. I was just trying to be respectful. I didn't mean to, I hope I came over and was polite. Like you guys felt like I was being polite, right? And so then I went about 150 yards away to the big brush pile, and those boys just went, and they both sat down. They were standing up fishing, and they just parked right there on the brush pile. Now, with that being said, they didn't know about the brush pile.
Oh, of course.
They knew about the point, and so they were parked on it. And I thought, man, I might go out there. Then I was like, no, I'm going to show them the juice. Then they're just, and so so I stayed around there for about 2 hours today, which I shouldn't have, honestly, hoping that they would just kind of move along and go back. No, so I left, ran a bunch of stuff, jumped a bunch of stuff that was horrible. 1 pounder city, 1 pounder, 1 pounder. I mean, there was 3 fish in a row that I called 1.4s. I had to put them on balance beats.
Yeah.
Oh God, 1.4, 1.4, 1.4. My whole little live thing says 1.8, 1.8, 1.8. Like, oh golly, where'd all the big fish go? So, I ran by them a couple times in the day. They were sitting there all the time. And then around noon, I rolled in there. They weren't there. And this is my whole tournament. Threw this sucker in there, let it set, and it went, whoa. 5.5 pounder, put it in the boat. I think I won the tournament just by a couple pounds, man. I needed that fish.
That was it.
That fish, and guess how? All my old boys. Here I am putting the fish in the box. Here they come out of nowhere. I'm like, where'd they come from? Out of the side. Like, he's back. Like, screw. They come back on him.
Out there.
Listen, I don't think that we're better. It's just a courteous thing. It's
I'd say they knew about the NPFL. I'd say they've probably been watching a little bit this week and saw what Mr. Hookup.
It was funny talking to other anglers mentioning the same thing, that you actually had good old boys out there that watching the feed and trying to figure out what's going on, because it's crazy.
Well,
and you, my friend, are part of that trailblazing, trend-setting pioneer deal. Like
and I hope Mike McClellan gonna split some of that royalty money with you on that McDouble, because I promise you they're gonna sell a few more of those jerkbait.
Yeah, it's
this
the
week.
PM Twilight, man, and I don't know if it looks a little bit like a bluegill to them. I love translucent in all my baits. I love at least one translucent. I'll have a white bait, and this thing's translucent and chartreuse a little bit, so it's just pretty, man.
That is a pretty jerk bait.
And when the fish eat it, they don't play. Like they really eat that thing.
Well, you already won this one. This one's in the bag. You got this one. Are you gonna be throwing that at Wright Patman?
You know what? Everybody will try to tell you no. I'm not gonna shy around and say that I'm not gonna spend a day in practice trying to do this exact same thing. I'd be stupid not to, man. I do think that Wright Patman is potentially. I heard that the lake's up. I haven't been tracking it all, and so there's a good chance that this is not going to be the thing there. But if I can make it the thing, I might have it to myself, and that's how you win, right?
Yeah. Where's that going when you get to the house? You got a spot picked out for it?
So we've got a little trophy room at the bass tank.
Oh, okay.
You see in our videos, actually it's like the first thing you walk into is just our trophy. So it'll go in the office there. Probably do some sponsor drops, with
Nice.
the sponsors.
Yeah.
So will the folks at home be able to come by the bass tank and check the trophy out? Well,
we are under construction at the moment.
okay.
But that would be really wise. We'll probably follow us on Facebook, the Bass Tank.
Yeah,
And we
some of
will
the
sit-
best content,
we'll
like
sit and integrate.
dude, you guys, like Luke said earlier, cold straight, just
Yes.
10 pounders, 8 pounders, 9 pounders. Guys, this was going on, dude.
Well, we started the Bass Tank because of the Lifescope.
Right.
That was it. And we started selling them, installing them, training them.
Did 200 last year.
Bro.
Installs, from what I heard.
200
Lifescope.
installs.
Yeah, 200
Right.
installs.
Installs. Yeah.
200 installs.
Yeah. We are.
The way things are going, that might go up a little bit this year.
The Bass Tank is. Yeah, I'm a part of it. It's been a blessing to me, but we can 100% say, from myself being able to utilize it to actually catch fish, my partner Scott being an engineer, our technician Darren being the best technician you've ever met.
The best technician ever.
100%. Zeke Anderson, our sales rep,
Yeah.
we call him a hype man. He's a crappie fishing fool. He's on the crappie tour right now. He may have won his event down in Grenada today.
Wow.
And then we got a group of other guys. I can't name everybody. I mean, I can, but everybody loves fishing. We're all fishing guys. I mean, no one's not. So we're dedicated fishermen. We understand the fishermen. That's the difference. And we also know what we're talking about. And so, like, when you want to take,
Backing it up.
when you want to take your
No doubt.
yeah, you want to take your electronics, you want to go to the next level, you can't go to the big box stores or a marina that has no idea what you're doing and take it to this next level.
All right, brother. Appreciate you, dude. We just run out of time. It was supposed to be a 5-minute clip, and I ran my lips. John wouldn't shut up because he won $50,000 at the first inaugural event of the National Professional Fishing League here on Lake Eufaula, Alabama. You want some? Get some. Stand down, boy. Fat Cat Newton, Luke Duncan, David Dully. This is your round table for tonight with the champion, John Soukup. Appreciate you, brother. You're awesome, dude. Look forward to Texas. Look forward to the rest of the year.
Proud of you, man.
Luke, you're awesome too, man. I like you
You're all
sometimes.
right. We'll see you
Appreciate
next
you
time.
guys. Make sure you guys tune in. Keep up to date with all our good
And
stuff.
I'm gonna just see
Yeah,
you guys later.
yeah. And follow man John Soukup at Bass Tank. Man, keep up with everything. Appreciate you guys. See you next time.